Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Burden. Burden follows the story of Ku Klux Klan member Mike in South Carolina as he starts to fall for someone who doesn't quite have the same beliefs as he. When faced with an ultimatum, Mike must choose between living a new life with the girl he loves in an enlightened state or stick with the people who have helped raise him to be. So reviewing this movie is a bit difficult, and giving an intro to this review is particularly difficult. I am always at least intrigued when I see a film that revolves around racial injustices, dealing with them basically. It's always an intriguing plot point, and then to get a true life story about the subject intrigues me at the very least. However, I went in very skeptical, very scared that we were going to get just another white savior, white redemption type of arc. And I was right to be scared. Ugh. Yeah. While the film itself is not necessarily bad, it's also not very good, and I'm just tired. So, let's go ahead and talk about the positives. Well, my biggest positive is actually Forrest Whitaker, who is always great and is wonderful in this film as well. He's really giving a spirited, heartfelt performance as the pastor of this town, the Reverend, and he was wonderful. Actually, a really heartfelt, beautiful performance. I also have to give it up for Garrett Hedlund. He does this walk in this movie that is just horrible. But I assume he had seen the guy his character was based off of, so maybe that's how he walks. I don't know. But Hedlund really did pour himself into the role and sold it as best he could. Really, most all of our cast, I actually think, does a solid job. I also think it does a wonderful job at just recreating the time, the place, the atmosphere, the world building, if you will, was great. And really showcasing, this poor community and how it feeds into racism was an interesting start, at least for the film. And there are interesting ideas buried in here every now and then. We play a lot with religion in this movie. We do discuss upbringing and how that plays into how you view your place in the world and your circumstance, and how that unfortunately does feed into racism, as well as exposing, your good old next door neighbor that seems like a friendly person as the racist they are. But that's about as far as I can take my positives, unfortunately. Because I'm tired. I am tired of this movie being made over and over and over again. First of all, if we're going to do these type of white redemption movies, these white supremacist redemption movies, can we at the very least have a black person as the lead? Can the black teacher, if you will, the one whose job it is to kind of save this human, can they at least be the lead character? We keep seeing these stories, and every time they're relegated to supporting. Now, I think maybe it's because the arc of going from horrific racist to decent, normal human being is more interesting, but I don't understand why they continue to be the center of films that ultimately are about overcoming being a racist. Then, this film in particular is so clunky and unorganized with how it chooses to present that. This movie honestly frames overcoming your inner white supremacy through love and through selfish reasons, which I actually think could have been a really interesting road to go down, but they don't. They try to make it about loving black people and being saved and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it's a white woman who is our savior here, and oh my gosh, what a horrible savior she is. This woman is the most irresponsible person you could have put in this role of teaching a white supremacist not to be. She does some of the most irresponsible stuff. Should have gotten her like chewed the F out and never allowed to see one of the children again, because it is outrageous what she does in this movie. Two, she's like the beacon of the problem. I'm just gonna say it. Somebody who acknowledges the white supremacy and just is able to overlook it and love them anyway. What? Even though you say you heartily disagree with it, instead you're gonna put other people's children in danger while you continue to be just stigmatized. I don't know. I don't get it, and it was terrible. And then we have this message of love and, basically passive protesting and praying. We're sick of this too. I'm sorry. I can't anymore with the oppressed culture having to turn the other cheek and forgive and forgive and forgive and teach and teach and teach. I'm not saying you cannot overcome hate with love. I am not saying that people cannot change for the better and learn and grow, desert their toxic, racist ways. But I am saying we've seen this enough times in cinema. We've seen this so much, and I'm tired and I'm sick of it. This black church goes way over the top and overboard to save this white man's future. This white man who hates them. It could be interesting. There's some interesting conversations. There's a great line in here about you can leave the KKK, but it can't leave you. It's ingrained in who you are. And these are the kind of concepts I wish we had explored. All of those I mentioned in my positives could have made for an interesting film. Instead, we go by the same old, safe, boring, ill-advised routes. And then you look and it's written and directed by a white man. And it feels like it's written and directed by a white man, much like pretty much all of these white supremacist savior films are. And that's a big problem, and the reason that I am so frustrated leaving Burden. And from a filmmaking standpoint, you can certainly tell that this is the first time Andrew Heckler has actually directed a feature film. He really tries to get artsy with like slow-mos that are ridiculous, with these shots that are just too much. The whole thing is just overly directed to the point where it's distracting. The script and screenplay is clunky, with like signs of promise, but then it falls back into just really clunky and, again, ill-advised from the start. It's just a hard no. It sends all of the wrong messages that every other white supremacist savior film has ever sent, and it does it in a pretty dull, uninspired fashion. Honestly, this is a pass for me. Catch it for free on TV. I think you'll be perfectly fine with what you're watching, but all the other films like this, the Green Books and the Driving Miss Daisies, the Enemy Friend film with Taraji P. Henson and Sam Rockwell, all of those and the countless others have done this before, and most have done it better. You don't need to watch this movie. Look up the true story, listen to the interviews if you're interested, but there's not really a need to support this. It's time to move on, Hollywood. We need actual representation, and we need actual stories from people of color's perspective. That's it. That's my review of Burden. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Burden? And what is your favorite white and black unlikely friendship film? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!